Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming. My name is Michael ECKERD. I'm the PIO for the Newcastle County Police Department. Today we're excited to announce the distribution of new playing cards throughout the Delaware Department of Corrections. These playing cards feature cold case homicides from Newcastle County, Delaware State Police, and Wilmington Police Departments. Before we go on, I would like to recognize elected officials and law enforcement leaders in attendance today. Delaware Attorney General Matt Denn, members of the County Council, Newcastle County Executive Matt MEYER, Acting Public Safety Director Mike Honicki, Newcastle County Police Chief Colonel Bond, Wilmington Police Chief Tracy, and Chief Administrative Officer Vanessa Williams, Delaware Department of Corrections Deputy Commissioner Alan Grinstead. There are also in attendance representatives from Crime Stoppers, Delaware State Police, Wilmington Police, and members of victims' family. I would now like to invite Colonel Von Bond to the podium.
Good afternoon. We are here today to showcase yet another attempt and effort to provide answers to the families who have lost loved ones to senseless violence here in the state of Delaware. But before I begin, there's a list of people that I really want to recognize and thanks for their involvement in this initiative. At this time, the people that I want to really recognize and have stand up are the family members who are here present with us that have lost loved ones to violence. Thank you all for being here. You are the reason we are here today and the reason why we are working nonstop, and we will never give up working the homicide cases that involve your loved ones. That is a commitment that I can say on behalf of every law enforcement agency and entity that is here in the state of Delaware. Thank you for being here today with us. You may be seated. As I stated, there are several people, if you can just bear with me, that I feel are worthy of recognition. I want to begin with the Crime Stoppers. Director Bob Mooney, who is not here today, but he's represented by Tom Roman. Their role is they will be fielding, Tom, thank you for being here, fielding many of the phone calls, the emails, and tips that come in as a result of this initiative. Department of Corrections Commissioner Perry Phelps, who's unable to attend today. In his absence is Deputy Commissioner Alan Grinstead from Department of Corrections. Delaware State Police, the Wilmington Police Department, Newcastle County Council, and particularly George Smiley, Janet Kilpatrick, Elisa Diller, John Cartier, Kenneth Woods, who all contributed funds to make this initiative possible. We'd also like to thank McLaughlin, who is responsible for generating the posters that we will be placing throughout various facilities in Newcastle County, including Newcastle County Police Department, in the turnkey area, with the hopes that individuals who come back in our turnkey processing area will take a look at that, and if they have information, be willing to provide that information to us. We'd also like to thank the Delaware Motor Vehicle, Director Scott Veen. They also have partnered with us, and we have videos, and we're also looking to have these cards placed on their closed circuit TV in the waiting areas of the Department of Motor Vehicles. I would also like to thank Detective Brian Shahan, retired Sergeant Glenn Davies from the Newcastle County Cold Case Unit. They came across this initiative up in Connecticut. And as a result of that, they brought it back here and presented it to me. I am a very strong supporter of bringing forward information to solve cases. Without any questions, myself and the command staff agreed to it that we would move forward in making this project become a reality. But it was imperative that we had all of the people and the other agencies involved, because this is not just a Newcastle County issue. This is a statewide issue affecting every jurisdiction within the state of Delaware. They gleaned this idea from the state of Connecticut Department of Justice. In Connecticut, they have these playing cards, and they started to issue these playing cards or allow for inmates to purchase them that were incarcerated. As a result of their efforts in Connecticut, they were able to solve approximately 20 homicide cases. If you read the paper last week or earlier this week, you will see that Delaware and this nation is suffering from an issue of solving homicides. The current time, the homicide rate in last year, I believe, was 59.4%. According to the FBI, that's the lowest rate since they started keeping track of it. It's becoming more and more difficult for agencies to solve homicide cases because we don't have a lot of people willing to come forward and give us this. So it's imperative that we look at it from the standpoint of putting this information out here and putting it in the right places so that the individuals who committed these crimes or individuals who have information about who committed the crimes will come forward. The Department of Correction goes through approximately 8,000 decks of cards a year. The Department of Corrections has agreed to allow us to put these cards will replace the regular cards that are now being sold in the Department of Corrections. 8,000 cards. That means that every time a person who is incarcerated picks up those cards, they're going to see a photograph of a murder victim or a missing person. They're going to see a synopsis of when it happened, what happened, and the hope is that while they're sitting there playing their game of cards, that somebody will say, you know what, I have some information on this. I'm tired of sitting behind bars. Let me make a phone call. We know that it can work because we've seen the success in Connecticut. 20 cases solved. There's no reason to think that we can't do the same thing here. This doesn't replace the hard work that's done day in and day out by the men and women who investigate these homicides. This is just another tool, another avenue to get the word out there. And I believe as long as we keep the deceased photographs and their names and their cases out there, while they may not be here physically, they're not going. And it's a commitment from myself and everyone in the law enforcement community that these cases do not go away. We will continue to work them. We will continue to use every avenue that we have, every resource that we have to bring answers to the families. I don't use the word closure because I know that there's no closure to it. There's no closure to it. I talk to families who have had their cases solved, and they would tell you there's no closure. They find a new normal, but there's no closure. But the one thing that each and every one of these family members here today want is answers. And it's my hope that by having these cards out there and putting it inside of the prisons where we know a lot of information on criminal activity is, that you all will get the answers that you need. So thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. I would now like to invite the Newcastle County Executive, the Honorable Matt Den, to the podium. I'm sorry, Matthew Meyer to the podium.
Good afternoon. It was a little over a year ago that I sat in this room with a number of the families that are here today. And the stories that many of them have, stories of love and of joy, are phenomenal stories. Stories I wish could be told to every single resident of our state. Today is about making sure that the 48 so-called cold cases that Newcastle County Police is investigating and the others that the state police and Wilmington Police Department are investigating across this state, making sure these old cases don't become cold cases. And the families should know, and the people of this county and state should know, that every police agency is working together, collaboratively, with the Department of Corrections, with Crime Stoppers, using the most innovative strategies that we find anywhere in the world to bring these individuals that are out there to justice. As the chief alluded to, we can't give you the full justice that you deserve on this earth, but we will do everything in our power to give you that small smidgen of justice and to do everything we can to keep the people of this county and this state safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Delaware State Police Detective, excuse me, I'm going out of order again. I'd like to invite Inspector Cecilia Ash, Head of Investigative Operations for the Wilmington Police Department. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to leave my comments very brief today. I think anybody who understands when you become a police officer and you take on the responsibilities of being a police officer, you also have a very unique opportunity within that career to become potentially a homicide investigator. And homicide investigators are very unique individuals. And they take on a passion to bring justice to families who have lost loved ones. And each case that you investigate stays with you your entire career. And the families and their memories of their loved ones stay with you your entire career. There is nothing that you will not do to help bring some form of justice for those families. And this state is a great state in the sense that every law enforcement agency within this state work together collaboratively with each other to take this project on. But it's through the passion of homicide investigators, Brian specifically, and even retired investigators, Lieutenant Bob Partlow from Wilmington, and investigators who have retired and work on cold cases here. These cases live with us throughout our careers. You will always be with us, and we will continue to work passionately to bring justice to your family and bring those responsible for these crimes to justice. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to invite up to the stand Delaware State Police Sergeant Richard BRATZ, Public Information Officer for the Delaware State Police, for a few words.
Good afternoon. I am Sergeant Richard BRATZ. I am the Director of the Public Information Office for the Delaware State Police. And on behalf of our Superintendent, Colonel Nathaniel McQueen Jr., and the women and men of the Delaware State Police, we thank you for gathering here today for this very important announcement. Thank you to the delegation of speakers. Thank you for the fellow partners and local allied agencies for your dedication and objective to look at diverse ways and ideas to solve crimes. We're here today to let everyone know of our combined dedication to public service and the safety of all citizens. We have joined forces with the Department of Correction, Wilmington Police Department, Newcastle County Police Department on this initiative to solve violent crimes like these cold case homicides. Now, as the Superintendent, Colonel McQueen, states, all effort to bring perpetrators of these crimes to justice are worth exploring. Citizens incarcerated in our correctional facilities may be able to provide information or investigative leads that may lead to an arrest. It is important to these families and the victims, as well as the community, that police continue to pursue every investigative lead. The Delaware State Police, along with our law enforcement partners, have and will explore every avenue or alternative to find more investigative leads for each case and hopefully and ultimately lead to the arrest and successful prosecution of those responsible for these violent crimes. Thank you. And at this time, I'll invite our cold case detective, Mark RYDE, up to the podium. Thank you.
I'll just be brief with my remarks. About 2 years ago, maybe a little less than 2 years ago, I was contacted by Detective Shahan from the Newcastle County Police Department. We're both in the homicide units. And he told me about this endeavor that they come across in the state of Connecticut. I had never heard of this. I was very excited once we got involved in this, and it's been about a 2-year process to get to this day. So we are very excited about the success rate that Connecticut has had. Delaware State Police currently has approximately 80 cold cases going back to 1960. I can tell you this, it was a very difficult decision to pare it down to just 17 cases. But we made the decision to go with the 17 cases now, hoping that they would have the best opportunity to develop leads and to solve these cases for our families. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you again for coming. Representatives from their respective agencies will be available after this presentation for any follow-up questions.